So the solid-state pressure sensors included in our Millar equipment are precision electronic devices. And while they're robust for their size, there are some key things to be mindful of so that you get the most out of each device. So pressure sensors are included in our acute research catheters, pressure volume catheters, and in our telemeters. The specific sensors may be different between the individual products, but the general care and handling required to get the most out of these tools is the same. On the side of the tip of each pressure catheter, there is the sensor window, shown here. This contains the sensor diaphragm under a thin layer of sealing material. It is flexion of this sensor diaphragm with applied pressure that allows us to measure pressure so accurately. We do need to be mindful, however, that the sensor can be broken if put under too much stress, and the sealing material will fail if punctured or torn. It is also important to consider the effect of any chemicals on these materials. During handling of the catheters, care must be taken not to damage the sensor window. Fingers, forceps, and any other instruments must be kept away from this area. Direct pressure to the sensor window may cause the sensor diaphragm to fail, as is shown on the photos to the right here. This depressed square in each of these photos is where the sensor has been pressed in by direct pressure. The photo on the left here shows damage to the sensor sealant. This has been caused by it being pierced with a sharp instrument. To avoid damage to the sensor, it's important to always be mindful of where the sensor itself is located and to keep instruments, etc. away from this area. This includes when the catheter is inserted into a vessel. Care should be taken to avoid squeezing the sensor area through the vessel wall, either with forceps, fingers, or suture threads. The sensors should be cleaned immediately after use. If they cannot be cleaned immediately, then they should be placed in saline or water immediately after removal from the vessel so that they do not dry out, as this makes it very difficult to get them clean. Soak the sensor end of the catheter in turgesime or another approved cleaning agent for the specified period of time before cleaning. Always use a microscope when cleaning the catheters and use a soft cotton swab to gently wipe the sensor clean. Once clean, the sensor should be placed in the foam provided so that the sensor itself sits in the hole within the foam. This foam will help protect the sensor from electrostatic discharge as well as physical damage during handling or storage. There is more information about suitable cleaning agents in the user manuals or instructions for use of your system, and also on our website. Please be aware that some chemicals such as hydrogen peroxide, alcohols, or cleaning agents containing surfactants may damage the catheter materials. This includes some cleaning agents that have very similar names to the approved products. Please contact us at support@millar.com before using anything other than the approved products. It's very important to rinse off any cleaning agent thoroughly after cleaning. This prevents crystallization of the cleaning solution and also prevents interaction with other solutions or with tissue during use. Sterile saline can be used for rinsing prior to implantation, but before storage, distilled or deionized water should be used to prevent crystallization of salts as the saline dries. There is more information about sensor cleaning, including a video, in the Knowledge Centre section of our website. It is located in the rack telemetry section, but it is applicable to any Millar pressure sensors. Dirty sensors are the main cause of pressure offsets, so it is very important to ensure that the sensor is free from protein deposits and dust and other debris every time you use it. Never put a dirty sensor away thinking you'll clean it properly next time. It becomes very hard to clean once it dries. Before each use, inspect the sensor under a microscope and carefully wipe away any dust or small fibers that may be visible. Even a small amount of dust or fibers can cause an offset. Now, aside from the sensors, the catheters themselves can also be damaged by rough handling. If the catheter tubing is squashed or kinked by sharp bending, then the internal wires may suffer damage. Unfortunately, it's not possible for us to repair such damage, so it is important to avoid it. Careful handling is critical to avoid catheter damage. If you are going to use forceps to handle your catheter, then the tips should be padded with silicone tubing. This will allow you to grip the catheter with the forceps, but it will reduce the damage to the catheter if it is squeezed too hard. It may seem obvious, but you would probably be surprised how many catheters get accidentally cut during implant, and particularly explant. Always be mindful where the catheter is located and know what you are cutting. We also see catheters that have been damaged by suture threads being tied too tightly around them. This can not only directly damage the catheter wires inside, but it can also lead to damage when the sutures are being removed at the end of the surgery or experiment. Again, using a microscope can help with this, as you can visualize the knot as you untie it. This should prevent accidental snipping or pinching of the catheter material. Millar pressure catheters and our pressure volume or PV catheters are vented to atmosphere via the connector. Only the sensing end of the catheter is designed to be implanted and is therefore waterproof. It is important that the connectors are kept clean and dry. They can be wiped clean with a damp cloth or gauze if needed, but should never be submerged in water. None of our catheters should be forcefully bent, but the PV catheters have a longer segment which is relatively stiff due to the presence of the volume electrodes. Bending of this section of the catheter may damage the electrode connections or cause the electrodes to lift off, allowing fluid to seep in. Much like the pressure sensors, the volume electrodes should be treated with care, and it is best not to handle the catheter in this area. I have another poll for you. And in this poll, what we are asking is, how many surgeries do you perform each year using the Millar research catheters? And there's a number of options there. This time it's just a single option to choose between. Okay, we'll give people a few more seconds to vote. About 80% of you have voted so far. Okay, that looks like it's given everyone an opportunity, so we'll close that poll and I'll just share the results with you. And it's interesting, it looks like around about 38% are using the catheters 21 or more times each year, which is great to see. And then there's a few that aren't currently using the Millar research catheters